Hello and welcome to today's podcast. I am Mrs. Angela Halls, and we're about to dive in and have an informal chat of sorts where we will talk about how our mind, body, and spirit play a role in creativity in the workplace. We are going to look at ways to develop ourselves holistically and what the benefits of it all are. Affirmations, motivation, self-care, mental wellness, and spirituality are all key factors to life. And right now, in the midst of the coronavirus pandemic, these topics are now more important than ever as we all learn to navigate personal and certainly our professional lives. Some days we could use a little pick-me-up. More importantly, we could use the practice of making it a part of our everyday lives. There are so many negative and stressful thoughts that come to our mind daily, especially in the time that we're living in. Stress can block even the best creative thinkers. It can be assumed that creatives must practice in areas that will maintain a balance to continue to flow creatively in spaces we work and occupy. It is important to remind yourself you are great and do great things. When we do this, we are using affirmations. There is a biblical verse in Proverbs that says, "As a man thinketh, so is he." One can think that what you put in is what you'll get in return. What one thinks in their mind can and will dictate how we interact in the world. We hold inside ourselves some of the best ideas and are innovators of how to carry them out. And sometimes getting up in the morning and looking at yourself in the mirror and confidently telling yourself something simple as, "I am enough," can carry you throughout your day. But don't just stop there. Keep going. Keep reminding yourself of the greatness you carry inside. I really found it interesting that in an article on affirmation study that affirmations are used to protect your own self-image. It's like a self-defense system of ourselves. There's an old saying that we are our own worst enemies. I think about a book that I picked up years ago by Joyce Myers entitled "Where the Mind Goes, the Man Follows." In the book, she gives an example of the idea of simply wanting a cheeseburger. As that thought develops about having a juicy cheeseburger, some way, somehow, we go get the cheeseburger. Thoughts start in our mind and they carry us throughout our day. It is important to fill our mind with good things to help us propel forward. For me personally, when I'm going through something stressful, I tell myself, "You've got this. You can do anything. You are creative. You are talented in so many ways. You don't give yourself enough credit for all the things you do and fight through." This is why it is so important to practice throughout the day. Something I did while I was at work was create a vision board to affirm and remind me of my own personal affirmations. Instead of the typical beginning of the year vision board in my workspace, as ideas came, I added them to my work vision board so that on days when my motivation and morale is low, I can remind myself of what I envision. There's a scripture that says, "Write the vision and make it plain." But how does that relate back to driving out creativity in our workplaces? At first thought, it would seem that affirmations are linked to how we feel, our emotions. The long-standing view in psychology is that positive emotions are conducive to creativity because they broaden the mind, whereas negative emotions are detrimental to creativity because they narrow one's focus. When we affirm ourselves with positive emotions and thoughts, we allow ourselves to get into a calm place where one can begin to expand our thinking and allow the creative ideas to flow and to influence our work environment. For example, one can affirm themselves by stating, "I am a leader on my team. My teammates look up to me for my endpoint of new ideas. When feeling anxious about presenting new ideas for more a streamlined approach to work processes, by doing this, you allow yourself the ability to better articulate the idea you have created and work with your team to implement and innovate so that the conceptualized idea can manifest into actualization. If we allow ourselves to exercise and practice positivity and an affirming thought process, one is better to accomplish creative tasks and present new ideas. As we have defined self-affirmations and their benefit, that also correlates with motivation. Motivation can be driven by our work environment and constraints placed on our daily productivity and what our leaders' expectations are. Some would argue that if we are intrinsically motivated, then employees will be creative. Motivation can be what drives us to do whatever it is that we do. And while we're doing what we do, we want to feel important. Motivation can be driven by our work environment and the constraints placed on our daily productivity and what our leaders' expectations are. The tasks of the day. Feeling overwhelmed at work and taking home after hours can cause lots of stress and burnout. What is necessary is what we need to stay balanced. There are basic needs that everyone needs. They're emotional, mental, physical, and spiritual. Yes, that's right, Maslow's hierarchy of human needs. These 4 basic needs clearly define motivation. Is in the absence of these needs can adversely affect how we work. In the book, Creativity as a Bridge Between Education and Industry by David Tanner and Frederica Wiseman, they state success results in confidence, and those lacking confidence may not be able to produce creative ideas. So the big question is, how do we stay motivated? Here are a few that personally helped me, and I hope they can be helpful to you as well. Number 1, I visualize it and write it down. There are so many times I've written something down and laid out the plan and walked away from it. I have journals in which I've done this and found it to be very helpful. And I just said, I write my vision and then close the notebook. What is motivating is that when I come back months later and I have put things in order and see they have come to pass, that is so motivating and inspiring. Try it out for yourself and see how it works. Next, motivation can be found in the why you are doing something. It is crucial and it is also key. You must be clear on what you set out to do. It could be detrimental to not fully understand that why of doing the thing that you want to do. Don't go in haphazardly. There's a saying, in all that you're getting, get understanding. Understanding the why and being sure of it can really help drive your motivation to be successful. Lastly, and most importantly, be positive. There's really nothing else to say after that. But a positive mind can produce positive thoughts. You can always practice positivity by practicing affirmations. So let's conclude to say motivation is a real driving force when one wants to achieve a goal. It's the barrier between failure and success. When motivation is properly placed and fostered, this is where the creative mind can flourish and become more formidable asset to an organization. When employees feel valued and supported, they are more likely to put their best foot forward due to an environment that is primed to get the best work, productivity, and ideas from their employees who are intrinsically motivated. One of the most important things during this time is practicing self-care. Without it, burnout is inevitable. Everyone should be practicing this. It's crucial. And because we are so busy, oftentimes we neglect ourselves. It's hard to disconnect. We have computers, laptops, phones, and probably other devices I'm forgetting, which makes it harder for us to disconnect. We take on too much responsibility and commitment. However, in the attempt to do good work, we also allow ourselves to become stressed in attaining this goal. It is important for employees and organizations to understand and encourage the benefit of self-care. This encouragement will boost productivity, turnover is reduced, employees are happy, and it helps in reducing healthcare costs. And what is self-care exactly? The World Health Organization defines self-care as something people do for themselves to establish and maintain health and to prevent and deal with illness. However, the notion of self-care has multiple meanings and means something different to each person. If you're not sure what self-care routines you can do, I want to give you a few suggestions. One is develop a regular sleep routine. Then you want to also aim for a healthy diet and exercise. Leading a healthier lifestyle will certainly make you feel better as it gets your blood flowing and feel energized. Take lunch breaks or take a break period. Go for a walk at lunchtime. Take the time to clear your mind and then come back and be better. Take your dog, if you have one, for a walk after work. Pets help us to distress and can help us maintain balance. So this does not mean it's taking the time to be selfish and just thinking about yourself, but taking care of the inner person, the person at your core being. You don't always need a spa day, although it would be nice and is an acceptable and great idea. But sometimes it is just simple as checking up on yourself throughout the day, making sure of how you feel as you may be working with your colleagues or that project you lead. Sometimes, or a lot of the time, if not all, you need to make sure that you're operating at the most optimal level. However, in this time, it is encouraged that your managers and supervisors should encourage self-care and taking the time you need to recharge and rejuvenate. If managers actively partner with their employees, not only on productivity, but also making sure that their personal needs are met by freely allowing and implementing a healthy work-life balance, it will boost morale and motivation to do great work. If we have not learned anything in 2020, we have learned that our mental wellness and stability is key to our overall health. In an era of the global coronavirus pandemic, it has totally reshaped our lives and the way we live it. Prior to the pandemic, all the topics we have related to creativity in our workplaces have been integral to the success of being productive and creative at work. Because of the pandemic, our work structures have changed to where those who were once in the office are now working from home. Although it seems like working from home would be an ideal situation, it certainly has its pros and cons. Some of those cons are full of distractions. Being stuck in the house has really taken a toll on a lot of us. Without the ability to go out and socialize, our home space is our workspace, and our home space is our workspace, and living to social distance creates a blurred line. It may be different if we were working from home and life was the way that it used to be, but that's not our reality. For some, it goes a step further with dealing with the pandemic and natural disasters and trying to maintain a creative nature in such a difficult time. According to SHRM, the Society of Human Resource Management, it is imperative that managers are meeting their employees' needs. Employees are meeting challenges every day, and understanding and being flexible are going to be key. We are all in this together, and managers should be transparent in showing that they're feeling what their team is feeling and to be truly empathetic. In lieu of our mental wellness, we may feel isolated. For some, it may be 9 months or more since we've seen our friends and coworkers. Technology has afforded us the ability to build virtual rooms so that employees who have similar interests and set activities can meet for interaction. Having some informal time to chat with colleagues may be key in making team members feel better. I just participated in my work's annual fall festival. And for the first time, it was a virtual festival. Usually we have food, we leave the office and hang out to celebrate our accomplishments for the year. But through Zoom, we were able to do our annual awards and just have a good chat in a way and had the opportunity that we haven't had in such a long time. It was such a great feeling, and it made it a great way for us to connect and reflect on how our work lives are going and how it's changed and how it has changed us. If you cannot connect with your work peers during this time, I want to leave you with some mental wellness practices you can incorporate into your life. First, I may have mentioned before, but clear your mind. Try just closing your eyes and breathe deeply. Sometimes we just may need a moment to recalibrate. Taking a deep breath can really help reset the mind. Also, listen to music. Listening to your favorite music can certainly change your mood. Some say music can make you smarter. What if it can make you more creative? Try it and see how it can rev up your entire being. Another point, unfollow negative social media accounts. This is a trying time, and there is a lot of content out there that will leave your mind even more stressed out. Watch the content you consume. Fill it with positivity, and that should make the difference. Last, a way to keep the creative juices flowing is just to simply create. Although we have many distractions while working in the pandemic world that can inhibit the creative process, it may be a good idea to stop and create something that makes you happy. According to an article by Dr. Brad Brenner, there is something called creative flow, where creatives can find focus. Brenner says the state of creative flow is caused by change in the brain function. Brainwaves slow down, and original thoughts are better able to form. He compares creative activities in the brain to have a similar effect of doing meditation. The brain is in a soothing state and is relaxed, and in turn it boosts mental wellness. Doing activities to boost motivation, creativity, and mental wellness are ways to cope and become less stressed in the new working world. It is said we are made up of 3 elements: mind, body, and spirit. As we're thinking about our whole selves, we should consider how they play a role in what makes us unique. One of these aspects is spirituality. I had the opportunity to read an article by Sue Howard. She articulates that the term spirituality has a wide range of meanings. One definition she mentions says, spirituality is the process of living out a set of deeply held personal values of honoring a presence greater than ourselves. It expresses our desire to find meaning in and to treat as an offering what we do. As creatives, we want to find a space where we can simply tap into what that is. But how do we do that? One of the ways is through meditation. Why meditation? There are some great benefits in this practice. Through meditation, you can increase your focus, reduce anxiety, increase creativity, reduce stress, and find an emotional balance. For me, personally, I like to meditate through prayer. One of the biggest benefits I experience from that is reduce anxiety. I'm taking the time to empty out all of the worries and stresses that I have and fill it back up with an increased positive energy. There, I can talk about the creative ideas I have and focus. I ask, do you meditate? In what ways can you practice in a way that you can find your creative strength and bring it back to your team or organization? We all have a belief system that we live by. We may or may not believe in a higher power outside of ourselves, but in our own ways, we're attempting to find and fill our lives with meaning. According to Dr. Vita Hattengadi, spirituality helps in increasing the ability to be creative and insightful. Thank you so much for taking the time to listen to today's podcast. I hope that it would spark the notion to care for your mind, body, and spirit in a holistic way. We can agree that knowing how to keep the mind focused and healthy is central to being productive. Having creative ideas is essential, but understanding the circumstances around it is as equally as important. I hope you'll take these things and incorporate it into your day-to-day. Until we meet again, take care.